Big Day Friday. Today's Take Action Day, folks. And we're leading the charge at America's Voice Now. We want you to spend no money today, no money tomorrow, and no money on Sunday. We've been talking about this for weeks now. If you're not prepared, you better check yourself in the mirror and say, where do my loyalties lie? The nation's truckers are out in force. They're going to D.C., and they're going to clog up the highways and the beltway around D.C. to make a statement. They're protesting to say, we've had enough of betrayal and the treasonous actions of these people in government. You can help. You can help by putting pound, the hashtag sign. It's the one above the 3. Pound T2SDA anywhere on your car. I don't care. Just spread the word. No money spent. No commerce over the course of the weekend. None. Live with what you got in your cabinets. Good exercise for you anyway. If you weren't smart enough to go out and shop on Wednesday or Thursday, give yourself a little test. How hard can you rough it over the weekend? Because if you think this is bad, wait until the house of cards falls. Good educational exercise. Vets are going to be protesting and stand up for vets on Sunday. That's October 13th, World War II Memorial in Washington, the same one they've been locked out of. I hope they try to lock them out of it again. I'd love to see some of these 70 and 80-year-old guys go ballistic on a couple of stupid, ignorant, and traitorous, frankly, National Park Service police. Go ahead and try to lock them out. Get stomped on. You can go to that website by going to vetmarch.com. Vetmarch.com. Okay. I told you this is what we were going to talk about in this segment. The news media is complaining. Yeah, you believe it? They actually have the balls to complain. Obama's efforts to control leaks are the most aggressive since Nixon, says a report from, and this is a report that was created, this is in The Guardian, by the way. I'll post this up on our YouTube channel right below with this particular segment. If you go to the bottom of the comments section where I put in a note about what each show is about, you'll see a link to this story and another one from the Associated Press. And here's my problem with this. This starts out, and of course it's from The Guardian, which is in the UK, right? Because we can't even get our own media to tell us the truth. So we got to rely on foreign papers to tell us what the heck is going on. This is the headline. Obama's efforts to control leaks is the most aggressive since Nixon, finds this report. Administration's tactics, which include using the Espionage Act of 1917 to pursue leakers, have had a chilling effect on accountability. Now, here's the issue, and here's what you got to know. I have no sympathy for the press. Why? This is a report, by the way, that came out from a group called the Committee to Protect Journalists, and you can get to their website by going to cpj.org. That's C Committee P Protect J Journalist or Charlie Papa Joliet.org. Now, here's the problem. These sycophantic journalistic chickens were the ones who supported this guy. They laid down, refused to tell the truth to America. They capitulated when they were challenged. Many of them are still supporting him. And yet now they're crying the blues because he's freezing out their free speech. He's threatening their sources. So suddenly, they're all crying the blues. You know what? I got no sympathy for that nonsense. You made your bed. The problem is, and this is the part that really bothers me about it. I don't really care that the press feels, oppressed, right? What really bothers me about this is that the Ministry of Propaganda is responsible for helping to get this guy in there. And what they now have to recognize is the same line they've been feeding us all of this time, right out of Obama's mouth. Elections do have consequences. And here's what the consequences are. You're now getting a taste of the medicine that the rest of us are getting. Now that Obama is turning on the press, who actually helped him get elected, they're beginning to recognize that they've got a Frankenstein on their hand. Unfortunately, we the people are paying the price. Yeah, they may be frozen out. They may not be able to write as many stories. But the truth is, we the people are paying the price because you helped him get elected. You sold out your journalistic integrity for the sake of access to the White House or dollars or coercion or corruption or whatever made you agree that socialism and Marxism was the right course and the right trajectory for our country to take. And now, when he's doing exactly what all communists, Marxists, and socialists do, freezing the press, you don't like it. What the heck did you expect was going to happen? Just, it's insulting to now hear them whining and crying, telling us, well, it's not fair, they're blocking us. You made that bed. And we're all having to pay for it. Thanks a lot. We appreciate you. The article states that Obama is he's the most aggressive president in the war on leaks since the Nixon administration. And he's using some very, very questionable tactics, including the Espionage Act of 1917, which, by the way, was only used 2 other times in history before this particular president came on board. He's used it 6 times, folks. 3 times more than all other presidents combined since 1917. Now, this is a report which was commissioned and created by the Committee to Protect Journalists, which is a legitimate organization. They're out there trying to protect journalists from, abuse and violence and war, when they're out there doing war corresponding and that kind of thing. But listen, they're not the only ones. The AP has got a story out this morning. That's the Associated Press. Obama brings a chilling effect on journalism. The U.S. government's aggressive prosecution of leaks and efforts to control information are having a chilling effect on journalists and government whistleblowers. The Committee to Protect Journalists conducted its first examination of U.S. press freedoms amid the Obama administration's unprecedented number of prosecutions of government sources and seizures of journalistic records. The truth of the matter is, folks, this is exactly what you would expect of a Marxist, a socialist, a dictatorial, authoritarian, totalitarianistic man in charge. We told you that this was who he was. But no, you thought you knew better. You were going to make sure he got in there by hook or by crook. So now you have to deal with the results of your own actions. He's turned on you. The dragon you thought you had on a leash has now turned around and bitten off your arm. And frankly, if it weren't for the fact that it's going to harm America, I couldn't care less. But the truth is that we as a nation are going to pay the price. You didn't blow the whistle when Obama got the limitation lifted from the Smith-Mundt Act, where he just a couple of months ago, where he now allows the use of propaganda on American citizens. Where were you then? Why weren't you touting that? Why aren't you spreading that all over the nation? That should be your lead story every single day. because it would show us that you're not getting stories straight from the government and just being their mouthpiece. That's the problem. You and the press are their mouthpiece. You've shown us time and time and time again. Now you want to turn around and say, hey, he's not treating me fairly. And we're like, you know what? You sided with the bully all this time. Why should I back your play now? The truth is, the mainstream media and the Ministry of Propaganda in this nation are responsible directly for the new media in the United States, which is actually telling the truth. Because everybody in America who's part of the new media, myself included, we just got sick and tired of waiting for these journalistic chickens to stand up and do the right thing. So we said, you know what? We're not going to wait. We can't wait for these people. Obviously, they've betrayed us and sold us out. So we're just going to start our own media. And we have the internet to do it with. We have radio to do it with. We may not have print magazines and newspapers like, the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and all these media conglomerates that are owned by the Ministry of Propaganda. But what we do have is the ability to stand up and spread the word through methods like this: radio, video, internet. There are literally millions of blogs that have popped up, blogs and websites that spread news every day. Now, I get it. Some of them are a little over the top. But the truth of the matter is, that's up to you as a critical thinker to decipher what's legitimate and what's not. And if you are using and exercising your critical thinking skills, you can fairly quickly decipher it out. Don't just take a story that's out there on a website verbatim and at first blush and reiterate it and repeat it everywhere. Do your homework, verify your story, check your sources, and then talk to your friends and your family and your neighbors and your workers and your people about it. That's your job as a leader. Yes, every one of you is a leader. And if you don't realize that, it's time for you to start acting like the leader you are. You are a leader, whether you like it or not. Because in this position that we are in now, with our nation coming apart at the seams, everybody has to be a leader. But the press is whining and crying that Obama is freezing and chilling free speech. Well, what did you expect from a traitor-in-chief? What did you expect from a guy who lied about his birth certificate? That evidence is out there, and none of the mainstream media will still talk about it. Why is that? Because it came from Joe Arpaio and Michael Zullo? Look, I saw the evidence. I work with Photoshop every day. I'm telling you, that birth certificate can be taken apart in 9 layers. That means, ladies and gentlemen, it was created on somebody's computer in a matter of hours. And the proof is empirical, and it is undeniable. You don't even have to understand graphic work and how Photoshop can work to see the proof. It's everywhere. You can see 5 minutes of the video that Michael Zullo has, and it'll show you everything that you need to know. The birth certificate's a fraud. How is it a guy who grew up in Indonesia and spent the rest of his life going to college in New York and Washington and Chicago has a Connecticut Social Security number? Why isn't the press on that? You see, they know, and they knew then that he wasn't legitimate, but they backed him anyway because they wanted him. Now that he's turned around and he's bitten them, their pet dog, who they thought they had a leash on, has turned around and attacked them. And now they're crying about it. Well, let me tell you something. We in the independent media, the new media, who knew all along what this was about, who told the public all along what this was all about, who warned America that the man was coming in here to fundamentally change America, not in the way they thought, in the way we warned them he would. And he's doing it right now. He's bankrupting and destroying this nation and gutting it from the inside out. He didn't come here to change Washington from the inside. He came here to change the nation from the inside. And the fundamental change he talked about and warned us about with his own lips and his own tongue is what you are now experiencing. We warned you, and you didn't care. You were too busy counting your 30 pieces of silver. Well, now guess what? We have no sympathy for you. And you know what? You're going to ultimately all pay the price. Because at some point in time, the new media in this country is going to completely change the entire nature of how all information in the United States of America is disseminated. You're already seeing the results of that. Your newspaper subscriptions have fallen through the floor. The plummeting precipice has been crossed already. You know and you see it. Your subscription rates are so low, you're bankrupt. You just haven't committed yourself to closing the paper. Magazines are going to electronic editions because they can't afford to print them, because nobody's buying. You know why? Because America's waking up to the fact that you are not representing the truth anymore. You don't have any journalistic integrity. All you are is a bunch of liars who are sitting there telling us what you're told to tell us. Well, guess what? If we wanted Pravda being fed by the KGB, we could all just move to Russia. We expected better from you, and you laid us down and laid us out. And you walked off counting your 30 pieces of silver. Well, I don't want to bark too loud because they'll block me from access to the White House. So what? You think Woodward and Bernstein were worried about that with Nixon? You don't have any journalistic integrity. You're just in it for the money and the fame. And the shining Pulitzer Prize we expect to be able to get one day. Well, you're not going to get a Pulitzer Prize for reiterating the stories that this administration hands you on a piece of paper. That's called investigative journalism, and you don't do it. If I had your resources, I'd change the world. The truth is, you've sold us out, and now your dog has bit you, and you don't like it. And you're crying out for the public to say, this isn't right, back our play. You know what? If we do it, it won't be to help you. It'll be to protect ourselves. Why aren't you screaming bloody murder about Schumer and Feinstein trying to pass a journalistic bill? Oh, because I get it. Now the truth is going to come out. I'm going to spill it on you. The truth is, you want that bill passed because you think it's going to give you a lock on the media again and shut off the faucet of free journalism and the new media. So here you are calling for our help, calling for the rallying cry of us, while you're simultaneously negotiating behind our back to cut our throat in another way. Why aren't you screaming bloody murder? There's no First Amendment privilege that goes to the media. The First Amendment belongs to every single American who breathes and lives and speaks. And you don't have a corner on that market. So back us and support us before you ask for our help in supporting you. I'm disgusted with the media. I don't even call you the media anymore. I call you MOP, M-O-P, the Ministry of Propaganda, because all you are is mouthpieces for this administration. All you do is feed us. You know what? You don't even do your own investigative journalism anymore. All of you sit there and report on what somebody else has reported on. This article is perfect, is a perfect example. It's coming out of the Associated Press, right? The Associated Press is supposed to be a group of independent journalists. And the first thing they say is the U.S. government's aggressive prosecution of leaks and efforts to control information are having a chilling effect on journalists and government whistleblowers. Wait, here it comes. According to a report released Thursday on U.S. press freedoms under the Obama administration. And guess what? They don't even have the courtesy to put a link in there to the Committee to Protect Journalists website. Like as if you're doing your own reporting on their story. You shame yourselves. It says in the top of the next paragraph, the Committee to Protect Journalists conducted its first examination of U.S. press freedoms amid the Obama administration's unprecedented number of prosecutions of government sources and seizures of journalistic records. Usually the group focuses on advocating for press freedom abroad. Where's the link, Associated Press? Where's the link that sends people over there? At least The Guardian in the UK had the courtesy to put the link in there. You're riding their coattails, taking their report and trying to report on it as news because you're not doing your own investigative journalism. And you don't even have the courtesy to give them credit. But you're out there saying, we don't want people copying our stuff without a link back to our website, but you're willing to do it to somebody else. You make me sick. You're not journalists. You're not journalists, and you're not even reporters. You're news readers. Somebody hands you a piece of paper and you just read it. And you're slick-tongued enough to make up a little bit of ad-lib, ad hoc commentary around it to make it sound as if you have some insight that the rest of us don't. You shame yourselves. And I'm exposing you right here, right now. The new media in this country has done a far better job than you've ever done. We are doing a better job than you are. And we have no resources, no training, no special skills. We don't have contacts and access. But you know what? We can read the handwriting on the wall. We can read the handwriting on the wall. You've been listening to America's Voice Now. Stick with us. In our next segment, I'm going after the NSA because they're doing the same thing. They're lamenting that Obama isn't backing us up. Well, guess what, NSA? You sold us down the river. Now you're complaining that the president is throwing you under the bus and making you take responsibility for your own oath breaking. What the heck did you expect? You broke your oath to protect us from him. Gee whiz. What the heck? How can you be a betrayer and cry like a baby at the same time? That's what you get for treason. We're going to take a break. You're listening to America's Voice Now. You can find us on the web at americasvoicenow.org. We'll be right back, folks. Stick with us. This is going to be a good segment coming up.